Hello everyone and welcome to Civic Platform. This is your host Zuher Almusre. Today I am showing you in Civic Platform Raising the Roof charity in entire Canada, but today we are focusing about Winnipeg City. So this charity helping to end or trying to help the homelessness in Winnipeg. So let's find out how this charity working and help the homeless people to survive in long term. So let's find out more about this charity in Civic Platform.
It's a solution that I've watched it move people out of poverty and into really dignified quality of life experiences.
It really changes your outlook if you could picture yourself and what you would want someone to do for you.
We have to do it together, and this is a step in the right direction.
Affordable housing is scarce in Canada, so the opportunity to have an affordable home is perhaps the difference between somebody's ability to provide for their family and is going to allow them to have success in their life.
There's thousands more out there in different communities all over the world, in this country, this province. So we'll do it one city at a time.
Ready to go? 3, 2, 1.
Hello, my name is Shoshana Coodin. Thank you so much for having me, Zuher, on the Civic Platform. I am the marketing manager at Raising the Roof. We are a national organization that has been around for over 26 years, and we are in the business of ending homelessness in Canada, and we're looking for long-term solutions to homelessness in Canada through the creation of affordable housing. So Raising the Roof has been around for 26 years because homelessness has not gone away, and affordable housing is a huge issue across the country, and it has been for many years. We believe that housing is a human right. It is very difficult to fulfill your potential without housing, and Raising the Roof has been on a mission to end homelessness across Canada for many years. So we do this through our Reside program, which is a new program to create affordable housing in communities across Canada. Through the Reside program, we build affordable housing using social enterprise contractors. So these are contractors who hire and train people with barriers to employment. So in Winnipeg specifically, we work with Purpose Construction, a social enterprise contractor here in the city, to build our affordable housing. So our first Reside project is in Winnipeg's North End, where we're turning an abandoned nail salon into a 3-unit house where families who have experienced homelessness or at risk of homelessness can come and find safety and stability with their family and their children. There's also going to be a unit in the basement for youth who are aging out of care. All of these people will be supported through local organizations, local frontline organizations such as NERC, as well as Fearless R2W, and these are organizations on the ground in Winnipeg who will support the tenants.
Hi, welcome to the House on Mountain Avenue. I'm Kaylin Taylor. I'm the Executive Director of Purpose Construction, and we are lucky enough to be, hello, and we're lucky enough to be doing the renovations on this space and turning it into affordable housing over the next couple of months. I'm so excited to give you a tour. But for now, over to Mark.
All right, Mark. When you have a moment, we'll bring Mark from Raising the Roof onto the video. Just bear with us for our technical difficulties. Here we go. Mark will be here momentarily.
Hello.
Hello, Mark.
Hi, Mark. How are you?
I'm good,
So
Kaylin. How are you
technologically, this is so funny. I can't see you.
We're throwing it to you, Mark, whenever you're ready.
Okay, great. Well, welcome everybody to Mountain Avenue. This is a really exciting moment for Raising the Roof, and kind of for me personally too. My whole journey of getting into this work really started in Winnipeg, and I was inspired by the work that Kayla and Lucas and Sean were doing of, connecting the work in affordable housing buildings to the individuals living in the buildings and saying, hey, if we're going to spend this money anyway on upgrading these facilities, why would we not use it as a way to connect it to folks living in the buildings? And that inspired me enough to start trying to do that work in Toronto, and now to be back in Winnipeg representing Raising the Roof and finding a property for the Reside project is really exciting. For those that are new to Reside, really what we try to do is use vacant properties as a vehicle to prevent and end homelessness. So what we do is we find vacant properties, turn them into affordable housing, and use the renovations. Most vacant properties need a ton of work on them, otherwise people would have been living in them, and that also represents an opportunity to train and employ folks with barriers to employment, maybe folks that are at risk of homelessness, to get jobs in the trades, which is an industry where people are needed. The salaries and the wages you can make are significant, and it's just an industry that's looking for new sources of labor, and to use a project like this as kind of a catapult to get people into it is really exciting. And then this project, you never know where you're going to find a vacant building. Here happens to be colorful, eccentric nail salon that's going to become 3 units, 9 beds of affordable housing, with opportunities to train. I mean, Kaylin will share more, but I think there's almost 40 people might be trained on the renovation at some point as we're working through the property. And really that's less than $50,000 per bed of affordable housing on this project, which is really, that is acquiring the home, renovating it, all the training, which is a really powerful tool, and is one that is going to be not only the right thing to do, but is a very effective economic way of ending homelessness by getting people working. I'd just like to thank the partners on this project before we dive in and really get a tour. Purpose Construction is one of the organizations Building Up is based off of, and the only reason that we were able to even look at a home in Winnipeg is knowing that Purpose was there to see it through with us. Usually when you're trying to buy a property, you want to be there, but we didn't even need to, because we knew that Kaylin and their team were all over it. And to have NERC and Fearless involved in operating the housing on a long-term basis is really powerful. And I'd just also like to thank the funders. I know many of you guys are represented here today, but the Home Depot Foundation, the Ecclesiastical Foundation, Ian Martin Meaningful Work Foundation, Chalkers, Johansson Larson, and the Rivers East Church all pitched in. So we're able to make this happen without any government funding on this project. Not that we wouldn't like government funding in the future. We'd love to do more projects like this in Winnipeg. But it's really cool to see the community come together. And then the supporters of our overall Reside program outside of this home, Catherine Donnelly, RBC, Alice Dawn, CMIC, we're trying to expand this nationally, and to have your support is really exciting. But there's nothing exciting about me in my living room right now, and it's very exciting to see Kaylin and the team there. So I'll bounce off, and just wanted to thank everyone for being here today on behalf of Raising the Roof and the whole partnership on this project, and we're really excited. So thanks for being here.
Thanks so much, Mark. And I'm so excited to be here and start showing you guys this space and talking a little bit more about what we plan to do here and what Purpose Construction is and why we're doing this work. So starting with a little bit about Purpose Construction before we get into kind of the building itself. So Purpose Construction is a nonprofit social enterprise, which means that we are, in many ways, operate like a traditional construction firm, except that the people we are hiring are people with barriers to employment. So for us, that means folks transitioning out of the prison system. It means refugees and newcomer Canadians. It means Indigenous people with barriers to employment. It means queer, LGBTQ, S2IA folks. It means women. So really for me, it's about hiring the people into the construction sector that we see underrepresented traditionally in the construction sector, right? It's about creating rooms in a sector where you can still, with a high school degree, make a family supporting income, making sure that those opportunities are available to people who are as diverse as the city we live in, right? So for us, for a lot of the folks who come into Purpose Construction, they maybe have never had a job before, or they've never had a job working in Canada, working in English. Many of them have never picked up a hammer before. For a lot of folks that come to us, I think this is really a chance at a family supporting, life-changing career in the trades, but we are really step one. So we come in when folks maybe don't know how to read a tape measure, didn't have a lot of practice showing up for work on time, making eye contact, right? Receiving feedback in the workplace and hearing that well. It's all of those really base level skills, along with teaching the actual skilled trades. So that's what we do. We're not a funded trades training program. We're not like a 6-month trades training program or a 1 year. People can stay as long as they need the support. Because I think that's really critical as well, to recognize that not everybody's life is turning around in 6 months. Some people need multi-year support. Some people are here for 6 months and they're on to greater things, and that's fantastic for them. So that's what Purpose tries to do. We try to be that supportive first workplace. So a project like this is so important for us because it gives us the work to train about 40 people, to start about 40 new folks working at Purpose. And that's really important to us. Again, like, we receive some funding, but not core funding. I make my money doing construction work, right? We make our money doing commercial construction projects. Most of our work is in affordable housing, either in rehabilitation of affordable housing, that's the vast majority of our work, or building new build affordable housing. We have 3 projects happening right now on Magnus Street that are new build affordable housing projects, and then also rehabilitating abandoned and unused spaces in the North End. And this is our first project exactly like that, working with Raise the Roof, and we are so excited. For us, a project like this really comes full circle, right? It's folks in the community who are looking to start a career in the skilled trades, who are looking to get their lives back on track. They will be doing the work. This will be the classroom where you're learning the trade skills. And then when we're done the work, what we've done is create 3 new units, 9 new beds of affordable housing for people in the community who need it. And we're going to hear about that too. So for me, this is a full cycle project, right? This is everything. We're connecting the people who need the work with the work that needs doing to steal, I think, Lucas Stewardism, who is behind the camera, shamelessly. So yeah, I'll turn you through this space. We looked for over a year for this property. I am so in love with it. I think there's so much potential here. You guys are going to love the paint colors. So if you want to pan over here, this used to be an illegal nail salon. So we found out afterwards it's not actually permitted to do any of that. But it's been a nail salon operating, I think, for a number of years. And I suspect that there has not been folks living on the 2nd floor and downstairs, if only because I'm not sure the space is habitable. There'll be a fair amount of structural work needed to be done for us to get that. But yeah, so this is going to be the first apartment here on the ground floor. We're still kind of working out the details of the floor plan, but this will be a 3-bedroom apartment. Now that is specific. The upstairs and the downstairs are 3 bedrooms specifically because Purpose and our whole team took part in something called the North End Housing Lab, which was run by Boldness, the Boldness Project, and Diane Rusin. That was really important. That was a sort of year-long consultation process with the community to figure out what specifically are the housing needs in Winnipeg's North End, and what specifically are the housing needs in the communities we're trying to work with. And so what we were hearing a lot of specifically is that we need larger affordable housing units. In current subsidized housing, we have a lot of 1 and 2 bedroom units, which is fine, unless you have children. And specifically, unless you have children that you are trying to reunite with from the care system, right? In those situations, people, and you know, we have stories of this at Purpose all the time. This is actually part of what led us to this work, is that I have people working for us and certainly at our partner organizations that build, who have done everything they need to do to get their kids back from care. You know, these are people who have gotten clean, they have gotten a job, they have gotten their lives together, they've done everything they need to get their kids home from care, except they cannot find an affordable unit with enough bedrooms. And for that to be the final thing standing between you and raising your own kids, I mean, as a parent for me personally, but I think for anybody, right? Like that's disgusting. And it's a major failure in terms of the way that we are supporting women in our community. So specifically for that reason, 2 of these units are going to be 3-bedroom units. We're going to try and squeeze extra bedrooms on the downstairs if we can. We're working with the architects. But that's specifically, again, so that this housing can be targeted and prioritized for women who are both escaping domestic violence, have children, are looking to reunite with kids from care. So that was identified as a major need in the community, and we are tailoring this project to meet that need. So yeah, moving on through the house. We'll come up here. So this is going to become the first 3-bedroom unit down here. This is going to be actually like a very, if you pan around, this will be a very retro sunken living room. You've got about a 3-foot drop from this, which I believe will be the kind of kitchen dining room area up here to the living room. This incredible spiral staircase will be removed, but I feel like it's important to capture as part of the tour. We're going to have a bathroom in here. Importantly, this unit will be fully accessible. So this is going to be a wheelchair accessible unit. Again, as much as we can while keeping cost in mind, we're trying to make sure that we're building for as many people. We'll have parking in the yard. So yeah, this is going to be the 1st bedroom. We'll go down now to the basement first, and I think, actually we'll go to the 2nd floor first, and then we'll circle back to the basement. So come on upstairs. And as you can see, it's probably really dark here, actually, we'll move. As you can see, moving upstairs is a fair amount of work to be done on this property. There's a lot going on here, which is, I think, why the space has been unoccupied for so long. It's been sitting on the market for a really long time. So again, the Reside program is so important to partner with because they specifically focus on rehabilitating units like this, that especially today with construction materials costs going through the roof, there's a lot of good wood here, right? Like there's a lot of good material here. What we need is we need some drywall. We need to pull some structural engineers in. You know, we've got a lot of work to do. But that work is the exact, you know, that's the training opportunity, right? That's the classroom. But because we've got most of the materials here on site in the existing building, we're going to be able to reuse them. We're going to be able to save a lot of money. This is a very, very smart way to be creating new units of affordable housing, especially in a city like Winnipeg, where we have a lot of abandoned and unused housing. So anyways, come on upstairs. All right, and welcome to the 2nd floor. This is going to be a 2nd 3-bedroom unit of housing. So 3 bedrooms up here, self-contained unit. It'll have an entrance through the back of the downstairs unit, but there'll be separate entrances, which is important. If you look up, this is a really neat space, and I don't know how well you can capture it, but we've got a bedroom back there. We've got really nice closet spaces. We will be changing around the layout of all of these units fairly significantly. But if you come through here, I think this is my favorite part. This feels like the unit that keeps on giving. Like the more rooms you walk through, the stranger it gets. But if you come through here, this will all be redeveloped into a larger and more complete kitchen space. And then we've got 3 existing bedrooms back here. Again, the layout is going to change. We'll be taking down a lot of the interior walls and rebuilding it so that the rooms make a bit more sense and the space kind of flows in a way that's really going to work for people. But as you can see, there's a fair amount of both, you know, basic safety and structural work to do here. There's a lot of aesthetic work to be done here. There's a lot to be done to turn this into a place where people are going to be excited to call home. But also, I think the potential feels really clear, right? This is a beautiful building. This is a building that should be housing people. This is a building that should not be sitting empty when we have people who need housing in the community. And I am so proud to be partnering with all the folks I'm partnering with to make this happen. But anyways, let's go down to the basement unit. I wish I could show you guys how spongy the floors are right here. I probably shouldn't jump up and down. We are really excited to get teams in here and start getting it sorted out. So if you see here, this will be the separate entrance into the upstairs. So we've got a boarded up door just here. But this will be blocked off, and then this will be a safe second entrance into the upstairs unit. So that's going to be very nice. All right, so we'll go around to the front, and I'll show you guys the basement. So then the basement, again, will have a separate entrance off the front, which is really nice. The basement is a bit of a strange space, and we're still trying to figure out what to do with it exactly. Again, our focus is going to be getting as many bedrooms in here as we safely can. So the basement, big space. Some parts of it are in better shape than others. As you can see, I mean, this is the boiler room. Some parts are unfinished, some parts are seeing kind of water damage. This is a space specifically we're trying to reclaim as usable, but it's a little bit low right now. So yeah, this is going to be for sure a 1-bedroom unit. We're going to try and fit a 2nd bedroom down here, depending on whether or not we can reclaim this space, but we're working with the architects right now to do that. So we can head back upstairs for a little bit better light.
All right, so we will throw to Jessie. Lalani, my apologies, from NERC, who's going to tell us a bit about what NERC is up to.
Just come over into the light.
Hi, my name's Lalani, and at NERC we do multiple programs offered to North End residents sorry, a little bit nervous. So we do wraparound supports for housing, making sure that people are able to secure housing and making sure that they have great relationships with their landlords. And if they're having an issue, we offer supports for the landlord and also the tenant to make sure that they have successful tenancies. And we also help people get identification, such as birth certificates. We have a driver's license program which helps people be able to drive on the streets, and really just encouraging that they have healthy, successful lives. We also have an education program and an employment program as well. And we really just help engage people in the North End, making sure that it's a place that people want to live.
I think one of the things that I love about working with NERC, and one of the reasons why NERC is such an important partner to us, is that NERC, so embarrassing.
We can't see it, it's fine.
As my shoe was undone. Part of the work that NERC does is they coordinate and deliver the 5-year community economic development plan for the North End. And so that's a I'm really careful that, over at Purpose, I don't know, we might build affordable housing, but I certainly don't know what that housing needs to be. I don't know what the needs of the community are. A lot of the work that I see NERC doing that's so important is doing that consultation process, identifying what needs to be happening in the community from a community economic development standpoint, and then delivering those programs. So NERC has been a fantastic partner for us for so long because of that groundedness and that relationship to community. So development of new affordable housing is absolutely a tenet of that plan. Support for social enterprises and creating economic employment opportunities for people with barriers to employment are identified as key strategies in that plan. And that really helps guide our work as an organization working in the North End. By partnering with NERC, I can make sure that we are not running off, building condos in the North End, stuff that nobody needs, right? The work that we're doing is grounded in community and grounded in the needs of community. So yeah, I'm so thankful that you're here, and to Jessie as well, and for all of we partnered with NERC also on our new build houses. We do lots of work together with NERC, and they're just do such critical and important work in the community and are such critical and important partners to us. So yeah, we love you guys.
All right, we'll throw to Mary from Fearless.
Woo! Hi, everybody. My name is Mary Burton. I'm the Executive Director and Co-founder and Lead Advocate for Fearless R2W. At Fearless R2W, we are an education advocacy group where we teach families about system literacy, how to navigate systems such as CFS, such as EIA, such as EI, and residential tenancies, those types of things. We also advocate for our families who are having issues with CFS. We go to meetings with them. We help teach them how to complain effectively to the social workers or to the agency. But mostly what we do is we support. We make sure that we are a circle of support for any families that come into our little organization. And I do mean a little. There's only 2 of us who are employed. The rest are volunteers. So it's a volunteer-based, volunteer-driven organization where we train and we advocate and we educate. And we put supports in place for people who need those supports. So for anybody who's living here, who moves in here, whatever supports they need, they can come to us or to NERC, and we can work together to find them the supports that they need so that they can stay housed, stay employed, keep their children with them, and just live a good life. That's us in a nutshell.
That's it? That's all you do?
It's a little bit
Right?
powerful.
Yeah.
That's all I do. I don't know about anybody else.
That's wonderful. Those are important people to have around that aren't always around. So thank you for providing that service.
Absolutely. So we will be joined by Michael from Fearless and NERC as well.
Michael is on his way.
He's on his way.
He's perpetually.
All right. Well, so for our viewers, let's see if they have any questions for the team.
Sure.
And if, Lucas, if you don't mind seeing if there's, we can read the questions out. And if anybody has anything to ask these lovely people, please write it in the comments, and we will we'll wait for your questions.
Sure.
Oh, wait, I have to say that I've heard 1,000 amazing things about you, and I've never actually met you in person. And I feel a little bit like I'm meeting a rock star. Oh my God.
Thank you.
So good to finally meet you.
Here, do you guys want to move over just into the light here?
Everyone looks so good in green. With green.
Yeah.
It looks great.
Yeah, Mark Sobrano is expressing regret that he's still in Toronto and not in Winnipeg right now.
What's wrong with you?
He would like to be in this video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Winnipeg is where everyone wants to be.
Hey, this is where it's at.
What's the timeline on this project? What are we talking about?
So we've already been in the building for a while. The building when we got here was full of things and mess and bugs and all kinds of stuff. So we've actually already been at it for a little while. We'll be junking the house, donating items that were in the house that were usable and could be used by other spaces. Specifically, Sunshine House got a lot of stuff, which is lovely. We love to support the teams at Sunshine House. And we have had cleaning crews in. As you can see, it is no longer quite as alarming looking in here as it was. It looks like it might be habitable at some point. Right now, what we're doing is finalizing the floor plans and the drawings with the architectural team. So we're just figuring out how best to optimize the space. And then we'll be in here with trainees and demolition crews. So again, all of the work that's going to be done on this project, I should preface that with the vast majority of the work that's going to be done on this project will be done by trainees. Ticketed electricians, plumbers, those are going to be experts, obviously. But the partners we're bringing in are going to be giving opportunities to the folks on the crew to shadow them as they do that electrical work, that plumbing work, to understand what those trades look like. So even in spaces where we bring in expertise and skilled trades, it's still an opportunity to start seeing what some of those really high wage trades jobs look like for our teams. So yeah, the vast majority, certainly all the demolition work, all of the interior renovations will be done by our teams.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I have a question.
Okay.
How have you found the success of the training program with Purpose? What have you found the trainees gone off to do in the future?
Oh, I mean, Purpose has been, it's funny because Lucas Stewart, who's behind the camera here, started Purpose and has a lot of amazing stories from the first kind of 10 years of Purpose, and I took over about 3 years ago. But Purpose's training program has been the same this entire time, and I think a lot of the success of it is that it does not feel like a training program. right? We don't have clients. I talk a lot about how I think people have been cliented to death. No one wants to be a client, you know?
Yeah.
What we do is we hire people. We hire people with skills. We hire, maybe not in the trades, but we hire, you know, people that we want to work for us. Those are people with barriers to employment, all of them. Within the organization, 95% of us are people with barriers to employment in the skilled trades. And then it's an on-the-job training. So it's not classroom-based. We find that, you know, though there's a real space for that, but we find a lot of our folks don't do well in those environments. It's on the job. Specifically, it's on the job while being mentored by people who have been in the same role as you, right? So because we tend to keep people, it's not 6 months and you're out. All of our lead hands, a lot of our trainers are people who've been through the program themselves. So there's a lot of mentorship that happens on the job site. There's a lot of seen people who have really succeeded who come from the same background as you. Some people move on really quickly. We've had people move on to kind of all levels of the skilled trades, you know, the bigger general contractors. We've had people move on to get their journeymanships and their tickets finally. We have people who've moved on and started small companies that we now subcontract work to, which is my absolute favorite. So it's really great. But, you know, my favorite actually is when people stay at Purpose. Just like to keep people and go on to mentor and train other people who have been in their same position. I think that's some really, really powerful work that gets to happen. And it gets to happen when, I mean, as a social enterprise, I think, and we are a less funded social enterprise, I have a lot of freedom to do what it is that people need doing. You know, so at the end of 6 months, if someone is not done, they don't have to leave, right? You can stay. If you're a single mom and you just are always going to need to pick up a kid at 3 and no traditional construction job can let you do that, we are there to employ you and to understand that you have a life and you have kids, we all do, and let you go at 3, right? For some people, it becomes kind of a longer term supportive workplace, and that's also really critical. Lots of professional environments, especially construction, are not designed for people who are raising children at the same time, right? Who have large and complicated families, maybe.
I want to see if Lucas wants to add anything.
Oh, I just wanted to add something.
Absolutely,
and,
please.
This is just a lovely thing that Purpose is able to do because it's mission focused.
Yep.
Right. So the point of Purpose Construction is to provide a vehicle for people to settle, be a part of something where they haven't been a part of something before, and provide like a tangible means forward. And so I'm just going to tell a quick story.
Yes.
All right, about the time I hired my first drug dealer.
Oh, funny.
And this is it's indicative of being able to relate to people in a way that makes sense, being able to build them up. So when I interviewed this guy, his cousin was already with us. And so he came and he was like, here, I could maybe get a job and here. And I'm like, great, what have you been up to? Like, what are your skills? Just trying to see where he might fit. And he's like, well, I don't really want to say. I'm like, it's fine. Your cousin will tell you it's fine. Tell me what you've been up to. And he's like, well, I sold drugs for a while. For a long time. And I'm like, okay, well, what was your role? And anyway, he said that he had people that reported to him, and he handled some distribution and stuff. And he's like, but that's not. I don't want to talk about that. I'm like, well, I'm like, no, but tell me what was involved. And so told me what was involved, and he was like pretty ashamed of it. And you know, fair enough. That was like part of his life that he wanted to leave behind. But sure enough. He handled quality control and customer relations.
Yeah.
He was in a position of trust with money.
Yeah.
And he provided supervision. So I was like, well, those are solid middle management skills.
Yes.
And we're going to work on your leadership and how we enforce roles and build people up here. But I think that you, and I said this to him, I believe that you would be a good fit in middle management here. And like, no one had ever said to this guy that they believed in him.
Yeah.
And that was so impactful for him, for somebody to think that he could do it. that hadn't happened by a person of authority, like a person of, in a position.
Yeah.
For him, and so that kind of transition happened for him, where he was able to connect his experiences to what a new vision for himself, right, and that he could fit into the larger picture, and that is the magic of perfect construction, right? The real thing that happens, and this is what makes change, is people are able to envision or imagine a new vision for themselves, and people get where they're going.
Yeah.
Right.
That's wonderful. I think Mark, do you have a question for the group?
Yeah, I had a question for the group, and I think like what Lucas was sharing is kind of a good segue into it. How do you think purpose having this project will help in the community for people to maybe see, hey, a social enterprise isn't just about, doing a simple painting project or a simple flooring project? Like, how do you see this as an opportunity to help kind of build up the portfolio of purpose and continue to grow and create more stories like the one Lucas just shared?
Yeah, I feel like, and now I'll get my business hat on a little bit. For us, Purpose does about $2.5 million a year of work in social housing, fixing up existing affordable housing units and turning them into places where people would want to live. But all of that happens really behind closed doors. We can't show people into those spaces. Those are people's private homes. We would never. For me, I think building a project like this is really helpful in a couple of ways. The first is that it's public facing, right? It gives us a chance to show you into what we do, show you into our training sites. It's literally facing onto a street. It lets us sort of connect with the community more directly around what Purpose does and why we do it. But also critically, it lets us level up across a variety of skill sets that we might not take on in our kind of regular affordable housing redevelopment work that we do. So, it lets us take on, as an example, maybe we're going to be doing siding repairs on this. Maybe we'll be doing roofing. Maybe we'll be doing more structural work than we would do normally. It lets us take on a broader category of skills than we would normally take on. It lets us expand out that training program, which is fantastic. For me, the more pieces of the skill traits that we can open people up to, we can let them experience through the training program, the better. So there's that. Also for us, through this partnership with Raising the Roof, it's starting to put us really in the driver's seat of the work that we're doing. I am really interested at Purpose in how we start going beyond giving people jobs who need jobs, which is something we do very well and it's critically important. But how do we start going from doing that to helping people in communities secure safe and stable and affordable housing? Because when I lose folks at work, when people are really struggling, they might still be showing up at work every day, but maybe they're sleeping in their cars, right? Like, how do you show up to work every day with your best self if you don't have safe and stable housing? Maybe you're trying to get clean and people in your house are using. Maybe your housing isn't a safe environment for your kids. How are you supposed to show up at work every day? So for us, it's really facing the fact that we need to help. We want to be playing a broader role in community to help start converting these vacant buildings into safe and affordable housing. And that's why we're so excited to partner with NERC and partner with Fearless. And, because in some ways we just build stuff. We got some real experts at the table here, right? So it lets us start doing that work in community. And then we're also working on building, we got a lot of vacant buildings in Winnipeg's North End. We also have a lot of vacant land in Winnipeg's North End. Mm-hmm. So we are also working, we've bought 3 vacant lots so far to start building new build affordable housing, fully accessible, energy efficient, high quality affordable housing. And so for us, this really expands our ability to give back to the community, right? And do more with our training program, right? Like do more with the construction work that we do. Because we are also going to be creating affordable housing for folks. So
I think also too what the stuff that Purpose does for the people who are working there, it doesn't just give them a job, it gives them a hand up, it gives them a feeling of accomplishment and encouragement, and then they feel like they can do anything. When a person is given a hand up instead of a hand out, they feel like they can move the world.
You're giving me the feelings.
I know. I'm inspired.
And I think a lot about who we give these opportunities to, right? Like for me, I grew up in a family, my older brother was criminally involved for a lot of my life growing up. He was in and out of jail for all the regular reasons, right? Made some bad choices. And when he got a little bit older, he had some kids, he really wanted to change his life. He wanted to change the decisions he was making. My parents, who work in construction, introduced him to a guy and said, he's a good kid, he made some mistakes, but give him a chance. And now he's a project manager for a major firm. He makes really, really solid money. He's raising his kids. He's a great dad. The reason why that was able to happen is because we come from a ton of privilege, right? I'm a white guy. I come from a family that's well connected in construction. And that's how these things happen in construction, right? It's about who you know. So if you are a newcomer Canadian, if you're Indigenous, if you don't look like someone that we traditionally see in construction, if you're queer, if you're trans, you don't get that helpful introduction. No one says, he's a good kid, he's made some mistakes. So for me, I think this work at Purpose is both about expanding who gets to belong in construction, but it's also about giving that friendly hand up to people who otherwise wouldn't have access to that, right? People who don't have a brother or an uncle working in construction already, who can get them in an apprenticeship role, who can get them making $80,000, $90,000 a year with no high school. There are not that many places in the economy where you can do that still.
Not anymore.
No, and construction is incredibly gate-kept, right? And we have to recognize that. It's gate-kept, and that's why we see a lot of white guys in construction. So when I look at Purpose and I look at our role, it's specifically about creating those handoffs. It's about saying, he's a good kid, he works hard, he deserves a second chance. He made some mistakes, but who hasn't, right? I think everybody deserves a second chance. Everyone deserves a first chance.
Yeah.
And you absolutely deserve a second chance. So that's what we're here to do.
I just want to give a shout out to Raising the Roof as an organization that by engaging, so the mission of Raising the Roof, creating affordable space, right, and access for folks who otherwise might not be able to, right, has really increased their impact here, right, by engaging a social enterprise. And I want to put out a challenge. I don't know if there's any other foundations that are on the call right now, but you guys need to step up your game.
Yes.
Right, and so Purpose. There are many other social enterprises in other cities that Raising the Roof is operating in, and if your foundation is looking to increase the impact of what your mission is, this is a very practical and cost-effective way to do that, right? And for foundations, it's a special kind of money, special kind of mission, and this is a practical way for you to increase that.
And for the families who are living here, they're going to have wraparound services. They're going to have services from NERC for the housing issues. They're going to have services from NERC for employment opportunities, for getting their IDs, getting everything that they need. And then they're going to have Fearless services for everything else that happens. Michael's here! So they're going to have all of these services given to them just because they need them, because these services are here for us to give. Michael, come in closer. I'm not wearing my Fearless shirt. So this is Michael Champagne. He's the co-founder of Fearless R2W. He's also our board chair at NERC and at Fearless R2W Incorporated.
Well, I'm mostly here today to say thank you to everybody for being a part of such an important project, but also we need your ideas. We got to make this house as good as the families deserve, which means your suggestions and contributions are very important. I'm a little out of breath because I ran here from my house.
Does anyone have any questions for Michael now that he has wonderfully arrived? It's so great to have you. Thank you so much.
The only thing I want to maybe mention is just that Fearless, NERC, and many of our partners have engaged in a project called Housing Solutions for Indigenous Youth Aging Out of Care in Winnipeg. And as part of that, we said that it was very important to provide spaces like this with wraparound supports. We're excited that Fearless is going to be able to support those individuals. We're excited that NERC is going to be able to support the house. Woo! But we know that there's much more that is needed. And so I want to repeat the call out to the foundations. Step
Step up.
Step up. If I can't see you, you can't see me.
That's
So
right.
let's do what we can to provide as much housing, supports, and whatever it may be to make sure we can reduce the number of Indigenous kids in care and support families that are reunified.
Woo! Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you so much to everybody who joined us, everyone out there in the virtual universe, everyone here in Winnipeg. Lucas, join us. Thank you so much. Please get in touch if you have any questions, and have a wonderful day. Bye.
Bye.
So homelessness, it is something that is happening across the country, and in Winnipeg, it is a real issue. The difficulty in Winnipeg in particular is the weather here. It makes it very difficult for people to live rough on the street. So people who are experiencing homelessness, there are many barriers to finding housing, and it is very difficult to find stability without housing. So there are many ways that people can experience homelessness. So it's not just the visible homelessness that we might see on the street. There are also hidden homeless. That means people who are couch surfing, who are staying with friends, living in their cars. And that is what makes it very difficult to calculate how many people are actually experiencing homelessness at any point in time. There's a number that is probably an underestimate of 30,000 people at any given moment across Canada who are experiencing homelessness, but this might be an undercount, given that we can't know exactly how many people are experiencing it. So in Winnipeg, the need is very great for people to find housing, which is why Raising the Roof has decided to make Winnipeg one of its priorities. So we're starting with this one project in Winnipeg's North End, and we're hoping to continue to bring more and more affordable housing to the city. So in terms of homelessness over time in Winnipeg, it continues to be a problem. So there's lots of people who with good intentions trying to help people who are experiencing homelessness. There are shelters across the city, there are different affordable housing projects that are doing incredible work to support people. Raising the Roof has done research over the past 20 years to figure out what is the solution, because sometimes there are lots of band-aid solutions, but that's not going to get somebody housed necessarily. A shelter is an important crisis intervention point, but without stable, long-term, affordable housing, people cannot find stability and balance and peace in their lives. So that is why, through the research that Raising the Roof and other organizations have done, they have come to determine that housing is the solution, which is why Raising the Roof started the Reside project, which started just a few years ago, where we are creating affordable housing in communities across Canada. Winnipeg is our latest project point where we are committed to sticking around the city. We are in communities across Ontario, but with the goal of being across the country to provide housing for people who need it most, who are at risk of homelessness, families who are a growing community of people who are at risk of homelessness. So for example, we do have a project in downtown Toronto that is housing a family, a refugee family who just came to Canada and was living in a homeless shelter, which is a demographic of people who are very much at risk of homelessness. So Raising the Roof is on a mission to end homelessness across Canada, and in particular, Winnipeg is a priority for us. There are a lot of misconceptions about people who are experiencing homelessness. So one of them being that people want to be homeless. It is a very complicated issue that is not just about not being housed. It's about income, it's about not having the financial stability to afford a home. And as we know, that is a very relatable issue where everyone can understand the pain point of paying rent or paying your mortgage is very difficult. And then there's also other complicated issues that everyone, housed or unhoused, experience, whether it's mental health challenges, addiction, what have you. These are problems that we all face. And then on top of that, if you don't have a house, imagine having to deal with those issues while having the struggle of finding some shelter. So there are many people who have said that the shelter system feels unsafe and they don't feel comfortable in the shelter system. That is a problem that we need to solve with long-term solutions. So there are issues in the shelter system for sure. There are issues across the systems of helping people, but the number one that we have come to understand through the research is that people do want housing, but they need it with supports. So that's where this Reside project comes in. So Reside, through Raising the Roof, is not just about giving somebody an affordable home to live and then saying, good luck. It's also about a holistic process of supporting people so that when the tenants come into a Reside home, they are not on their own. They are supported by a local organization who will help them with employment needs, with counseling, with support for their rent if that's something that's needed, with food security, so that when people are getting housed, it's not on their own, it's a community project. So Raising the Roof started 26 years ago with what we call the Toque campaign. So that's what I'm wearing on my head today. And it's a national campaign where we've been using the Toques as a fundraiser to support our initiatives, our charitable initiatives. So the Toque is not just a toque. We see it as a statement of solidarity that everyone deserves a safe, stable place to call home. So the event today that we're having in Winnipeg at Deer Meadows Farms is our Toque launch party here in Winnipeg. We're really excited to be here in Winnipeg to engage the community, to tell them about our project in Winnipeg's North End. And that is why we decided to have this event today. People are here to learn about what Raising the Roof does, to get a toque, to have some fun in the community, and then we can come together to support what the project that we are doing here in Winnipeg, with the intention of staying in the community and building more affordable housing as time goes on. The funds raised through this event will go towards our Winnipeg Reside project, and in the future, many other Reside projects that we will be bringing to Winnipeg. Well, so Raising the Roof is not a frontline agency. So we do help people who are experiencing homelessness find long-term housing. However, the frontline agencies that we work with on the ground in the community are the ones that are engaging with the people experiencing homelessness, and they know their needs best. So in order to be a tenant in one of our reside projects, our local agencies such as NERC or Fearless RTW, they are the ones who are going to be finding the tenants and supporting the tenants. So if you're experiencing homelessness, it's really important to reach out to organizations on the ground like those two that I mentioned. Raising the Roof, you can definitely reach out to us. We're at raisingtheroof.org, and we can help with whatever support's needed in order to get people to the right place that they need to go to get the supports they need. So there are many vacant properties across Canada. We actually have a lot of vacant properties, which is part of where Raising the Roof has come to understand that it is difficult to take these properties that have been maybe sitting vacant and need a lot of work. It is very difficult for people to turn these into usable rental housing, especially affordable rental housing, deeply affordable rental housing, which is what Raising the Roof is determined to do. So our mission is to find these vacant properties and support those. If you own a vacant property and you're needing support, that's where Raising the Roof can come in and help with the construction through social enterprise contractors. We're always looking for properties that can be turned into affordable housing. We've had properties donated to the organization, and then we find the social enterprise contractor. We turn it into an affordable place to live with the supports that's needed to have a fulfilling life where you can fulfill your potential and bring your family and find employment and happiness in a safe and stable place to call home. So Raising the Roof has an annual toque campaign. As I mentioned, it has been around we're in our 26th year. This is the main campaign where you can buy a toque on our website, raisingtheroof.org, and you can wear it as a symbol of solidarity that you believe that everyone deserves a safe and stable place to call home. So the funds that go from the toque campaign go towards our charitable initiatives, which are creating affordable housing for people who are experiencing homelessness. We do events across Canada. This year, we're hoping to do a sleep out in February for Toque Tuesday, which is an annual day on the first Tuesday in February, where people can come together, fundraise, and support those who are experiencing homelessness. The main campaign is the toque campaign, which Raising the Roof has been famous for a very long time, and that's where you can start to get involved. It is inspiring to see what happens when somebody can find a home. So in our downtown Toronto project, which was recently completed, it is wonderful to see that a family can come and have a home, a stable place to live, especially after being in a shelter. So we have a house in Toronto where a newcomer family was able to find a stable place to call home in the city, and Raising the Roof is just very proud to be supporting people through our Reside project. So I want to thank everybody for listening. We are on a mission to end homelessness across Canada. It is something that is possible if we find the right solutions, long-term solutions to the issue of homelessness. Raising the Roof believes that the Reside Project is one of those long-term solutions, and we're hoping to expand this across the country. We are very grateful to have so much support from people in Winnipeg and other communities across Canada, and buying a toque is a great way to start getting involved, going to our website, raisingtheroof.org, learning about what we do, and if you want more information, you can always get in touch with us, because we are always looking to find new communities who are needing affordable housing in their city or town.
We reached the end of our episode. Thank you for watching. I hope one day in whole Canada we finish that issue and we don't have any homeless people in the street, and make everyone safe and happy in this beautiful country. Thank you for watching. If you like the episode, please like, share, and subscribe to see our upcoming episodes.